On this week's show, Tesla faces increasing pressure in the light of that fatal Autopilot crash, why BMW i3 sales are on the rise in Germany, and how your next Lyft could be in a Chevy Bolt EV. These stories and more coming up next on 10. Enjoying today's show on YouTube and want to read the stories we're referring to today? After we're done, just head to our website at transportevolved.com/TEN, where you'll find today's show notes as well as links to the latest future car news, buying guides, tech primers, and car reviews. It's Friday, July 15th, 2016. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield, and as always, I want to thank those of you who signed up to support our show and network this week with a monthly donation via patreon.com. Our total monthly contributions keep on rising, and that means I'm finally starting to plan a new exciting show. Keep posted for the information this fall. Unfortunately, we're starting today's show the same way as we have for the past 2 weeks, namely the fallout from that fatal Tesla Autopilot collision which claimed the life of Joshua Brown, a well-known Tesla fan, back in May. As we explained in previous shows, the US National Highway Traffic Safety Administration has been investigating the crash since it was reported to the government agency by Tesla in May. But this week, we learned that NHTSA has now asked Tesla for further information concerning the operation of Autopilot, including the VIN numbers of all Autopilot-enabled Model S and Model X electric cars in the wild. It's not clear why NHTSA needs these, save perhaps for a cross-check against other reported accidents, but it comes on top of a claim this week that the US Securities and Exchanges Commission is also investigating Tesla for not disclosing news of the fatal collision ahead of its May 18th secondary public offering. That offering netted Tesla and its CEO Elon Musk an estimated $2 billion. And if that isn't enough, Consumer Reports very publicly went after Tesla this week, calling on the automaker to do the smart thing and temporarily disengage Autopilot functionality, but keeping active safety features turned on until Tesla had pushed a software update that requires drivers to hold the wheel at all times. It also called for Tesla to rename its feature to something less suggestive that the car could drive itself without human interaction. And as you might expect, Tesla has responded with a firm no, saying that it calls its Autopilot beta software for a reason. Sadly, however, I think Consumer Reports has a point, and as I've said before, if Tesla doesn't act sensitively on this one, it could cause a whole lot of hurt for all automakers looking to bring autonomous cars to market. Watch this space. Just like our first story, our second one is a bit of a downer too, but this time it's news of an official recall involving the 2016 Nissan LEAF electric car. As announced midweek, the recall is to fix an improperly assembled wiring harness in about 4,300 2016 Nissan LEAFs, which could, under certain circumstances, disconnect from the dual-stage passenger airbag. And if that happens, and the car happens to be involved in a collision, there's a risk that the passenger airbag will not deploy and cause additional passenger injury. The recall also affects Nissan Sentra sedans made between February and March 2016. As with all vehicle recalls, Nissan will inspect and replace faulty parts as necessary and will contact all affected owners to arrange a complimentary service appointment at a convenient dealership. Now we've got those two bad news stories out of the way, we can look towards something a little more enjoyable now, with the news this week that Nissan's upcoming Serena minivan will become the brand's first model to make use of its own semi-autonomous vehicle system when it goes on sale in Japan next month. The system itself, called ProPilot, operates in a similar way to Tesla's Autopilot system, combining lane keep assist, full vehicle-wide sensor system, advanced software algorithms, and radar cruise control to keep the minivan in the correct lane at all times, autonomously driving in single lanes and responding correctly to traffic flow ahead. Unlike Tesla's now controversial system, Nissan's ProPilot requires a driver to keep his or her hands on the wheel at all times, and also requires them to reactivate the system after the car comes to a complete stop and traffic has begun moving again. Additionally, it only operates between the speeds of about 30 kilometers per hour and 100 kilometers per hour, roughly 20 to 60 miles per hour, meaning that the driver is required to stay alert and ready to take over at any point. Future versions of the ProPilot system will of course be more advanced, but we're looking forward to seeing how this system evolves in a very different way to Tesla's Autopilot over the coming years. And it will be interesting to see if Nissan's super cautious rollout will yield different results to Tesla's test it in the field approach. We're off to the world of Dieselgate next, with news from Thursday that the California Air Resources Board has rejected Volkswagen's proposed fix for all 3.0-litre V6 diesel-engined cars from Volkswagen, Audi and Porsche fitted with hardware and software designed to cheat on US fuel economy and emissions standards. CARB, which played a significant role in twisting Volkswagen's arm over proposed solutions to fix nearly 500,000 2-litre diesel-engined non-compliant cars earlier this month, has told Volkswagen to go back and try again, indicating that we could be in for a little wait just as we were for the 2.0-litre TDI models that Volkswagen and government agencies agreed on a fix for last week. In a related story, an Italian consumer group that's part of the European Consumer Organization recently announced that Volkswagen diesel engine models it had tested in Europe, where the emission standards aren't so strict for NOx, actually emitted more nitrogen oxides after Volkswagen had applied their approved European market fix to those cars than they did before the scandal broke. There's no news if Volkswagen plans to challenge this or if indeed investigators are looking further into diesel engine emissions. But I've got to say, right now, it doesn't look good. Luckily, however, there is some good news to cheer those of you up who like our air clean and our cars quiet, namely that the BMW i3 electric car sales in Germany are going through the roof, thanks to the recent launch of Germany's first ever electric car incentive program. As you might remember, Germany has been reluctant to offer incentives for many years, preferring instead for automakers to duke it out in the open market, only announcing its own government-backed incentive program for electric cars earlier this year. A program, in fact, that we note, in which automakers themselves have to stump up at least some of the cash incentives for their customers to benefit from. That program may have only been in effect for a month or so, but BMW is already reporting those extra incentives, which lower the effective sticker price for customers by about $4,000 or equivalent, has really paid off, with sales of the i3 electric car many times larger in recent weeks than it was before the incentives came into force. I guess it just shows that if you price electric cars right, people will buy them, right? Talking of buying electric cars, I'm guessing quite a lot of viewers to this show are eagerly awaiting for the arrival of the upcoming 2017 Chevrolet Bolt EV, which is due to hit the market later this year. And unlike Tesla Motors and its long waiting list for the Model 3 electric car, GM says it won't be offering any kind of pre-orders for the 200-plus mile plug-in. But what we did learn this week is that GM will be giving first crack of the ordering whip to those who drive for the Lyft car-sharing service, offering them a chance to dump the pump and go electric before regular car buyers through Lyft's short-term Express Drive program. It's kind of pretty clear what GM is trying to do here, of course. Earlier this year, the automaker signed a partnership with Lyft on autonomous vehicles and developing future mobility products. So it figures that as its most connected car yet, the Bolt EV will feature quite prominently in this vision of the future. But given Lyft already partners with GM in offering the Chevy Equinox crossover to Lyft drivers for $99 per week and 20 cents per mile for less than 40 trips per week, we can't be sure how the economics will really work out, or even if we agree with it in the first place. We're back to Tesla one more time in this show, but this time it's actually a feel-good story, especially if you happen to be someone with an example of the car that started it all off for the Silicon Valley company, the Tesla Roadster. That's because this week, after months of waiting, Tesla is now finally shipping and installing the Tesla Roadster 3.0 upgrade pack to those who shelled out more than $29,000 for it, transforming the sleek two-seat sports car into a sleek two-seat sports car capable of more than 340 miles per charge. Not only does this make the Roadster the longest-range electric car in the world today, but it also means that those collectors who still want to use their iconic cars daily can do so, even as the original battery packs fade more than 8 years after the first Roadsters rolled off the production line. I just wish I could get a battery pack for my 2002 Toyota RAV4 EV, because it's nearly 15 and, to put it bluntly, it's feeling its age. While Tesla might be the first automaker you come to think of when it comes to driving the electric vehicle revolution, it does turn out that German automaker BMW leads the rest of the automotive world when it comes to the number of plug-in vehicles it sells relative to its total brand sales. At least that's the case in the US, where 2.3% of all cars sold by BMW come with a plug, higher than General Motors, Nissan, or any other automaker known for their plug-in cars other than Tesla. As our friends at Green Car Reports detailed this week, that market share accounts for sales of all electric models like the BMW i3, as well as plug-in hybrids like the BMW xDrive 40e and the BMW i8 plug-in hybrid. I should reiterate here that BMW's position doesn't mean it's sold the largest number of plug-in cars so far in history. That accolade still goes to Nissan, at least for now, but it's encouraging to see the premium brand with a reputation for powerful, sporty internal combustion engines is doing everything it can to make the switch to a more sustainable form of power. Well done. From one type of electric car now to another in the form of the Hyundai Tucson FCV, which, as we learned this week, is heading to Washington, D.C. as part of the second stage of a feasibility study into hydrogen fuel cell vehicles. With the first stage now complete in the state of California, the government-funded feasibility study, organised by the US Department of Energy, is setting up a new study fleet on the East Coast, making use of a new set of hydrogen fuel filling stations located around the capital. While there are some big hurdles to be overcome in the coming months and years with hydrogen, it's worth noting that the DOE's studies are an essential part of testing out any new vehicle technology, since it helps inform what national and local governments should be investing in and which technologies they should be steering clear of. It'll take a while for the results of the study to be known, but in the meantime, if you see a hydrogen fuel cell vehicle in Washington, D.C., be sure to let us know. And finally, we may think of the Tesla Model S as the car to beat thanks to its insane 0 to 60 time and legendary handling, but this week a new contender came onto the scene in the form of Edna, an all-electric van by a well-funded, relatively unknown California startup by the name of Ateiva. Yes, you heard me correctly. Ateiva's electric powertrain test vehicle, otherwise known as Edna, looks like any other Mercedes Sprinter van. Underneath, however, there are 2 powerful electric motors, 2 gearboxes, and an 87 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion battery pack, as long as all the power electronics. It can accelerate from 0 to 60 miles per hour in 3 seconds, and as shown in this video, can beat a Ferrari and a Tesla Model S90 in a straight line race. Given that the company has Pete Rawlinson on its staff, former Tesla VP and Model S chief engineer, it's no wonder this test mule is so blisteringly fast. But while the idea of a super fast white van might get plenty of people excited, Ateiva says its first electric vehicle will be a 2018 model year electric sedan to compete against Tesla's finest. And while we've got to wait to see what that will be, and if it will ever even enter the market, we've got to give it to Ateiva for actually demonstrating something we can get excited about. Faraday Future, take note. And on that subject, I'm afraid that's all we have for today's show. As usual, don't forget to leave your reactions and thoughts to the stories you covered in the comments below, as well as giving us a thumbs up and a share if you liked it. And if you didn't, give us a thumbs down and tell us why, because otherwise we can't improve. Next week, I'm actually going to be speaking at the annual EV Roadmap conference in Portland, Oregon. So it's unlikely you'll have a show next week. I will do my best, but I will definitely be back the following week as usual with another show. In the meantime, don't forget to visit our website at transportevolve.com for daily articles, follow us on Twitter at transportevolve, or check out our latest shows on our YouTube channel. And if you liked what you saw today, please do consider keeping us independent and impartial by supporting our Patreon crowdfunding campaign from as little as just $1 per month over at patreon.com/transportevolved. As I said at the top of the show, we're really wanting to launch a brand new show this fall, but for us to do that, we really do need to increase our monthly income just a little bit more. So any little you can offer will be gratefully received. As always, there are a lot of stories we didn't manage to fit into today's show, including details of how Sweden is trialling a new electrified trolley truck to move cargo long distance with 0 emissions. Tesla launches the more affordable Model X 60D. We discover the reality of trying to rent when you have an electric vehicle. And Tesla CEO Elon Musk says the Model 3's tiny trunk opening has been fixed. But what exactly does he mean? So when we're done, be sure to head to our site to read them all. Thanks for watching. I'm Nikki Gordon-Bloomfield. Have a fantastic weekend. And until next time, keep evolving.